The following show features episodic breakdowns of Jackass, either performed by professionals or under the supervision of professionals. For your safety, avoid listening to this podcast at all times. Hi, I'm Mikey Aaronworth.
I'm Jason Wellwood.
And I'm Chris Aaronworth.
Welcome to Jackass.
Welcome to Jackast, I guess. A podcast where we're on a fucking path of destruction through shitty movies that Mikey makes us watch on request of the viewership. You know, you might be thinking, "Hey, this is fun. Jay's doing a little bit of an alternate intro here tonight." No, that's not what this is. Because alternate intros are fun. They're for people who still have soul and a zest for life, and still believe that good things can happen to people in life. For people who still, want to do a podcast, who haven't just totally given up. And welcome to the show, guys. It's going to be great. We're going to have a lot of fun.
We are the broken spirits of three lifelong fans of Jackass, reliving the belly laughs, bad ideas, broken bones, and career missteps of some of the cast members in the movies they make.
No, seriously, whose fucking idea was this? Why did we watch this fucking
It was fucking
movie?
Mikey. I almost quit the fucking podcast
It was Mikey.
because of this shit.
It was
I almost
Mikey.
did.
It was not
I
my
told you
idea.
guys, I've been saying it the whole time, I don't want to do this. This is a waste of time. I got better things to do. But you know what was actually surprising?
What?
I'll tell you something. So we're doing the film Haggard.
We are, yes.
An old Bam Margera, CKY, that whole crew. A film that they did when they were kids. You know, we've seen them do some kind of artistic-y type stunts when they're doing the war resegments and things like that. And we thought those things were pretty rough. So it will be interesting to see what we talk about this movie. And surprisingly, this movie came out on June 24th, 2003, and it wasn't actually the worst thing that happened that day.
What was the
There
worst
was a
thing?
massive tornado in Manchester, South Dakota.
Oh, wow.
One of the most destructive tornadoes. I believe it was probably an F5. I can't find the actual rating in my notes over here, but I did see the movie Twister, and F5 seems like a pretty intense tornado.
I was gonna say that was 100%. Anyone who says F5 has seen Twister, and that's about it.
Yeah.
You know what we could have done?
What?
Instead of watching Haggard was watching Twister.
Literally anything else?
I want to clear the air, guys.
What?
I didn't want to watch Haggard.
Oh,
this was the
bullshit.
most requested thing that we do on this podcast. I'm just the host that cares the most about the fans. And yes, I'm speaking to you as the listener. These guys didn't want to do it.
Because they wanted to see us
Fucking
suffer.
guy. Taking the sides of the fans,
Fuck
making
our
us look
fans.
bad over here. Yeah, Chris, fuck them. I'm with you.
Fuck 'em. Fuck you. I don't care. I don't like you anymore. You almost lost the podcast.
Chris and
I genuinely, this isn't even a joke.
Yeah.
I even told my mom this. I've been working so much. It's been hard for us to get a recording, hence why I missed last week. I have no free time, long story short. And Mikey's telling me to watch this. And I was like, no, fuck you. I don't want to do this right now. And it actually got serious. This isn't even a little bit. I was actually upset with him. That being said, I did watch the movie. And you guys aren't going to believe it. I fucking liked it.
No fucking way.
First of all, you're
I fucking
a liar.
did, man.
First
I'm
of all,
not
you're a
lying.
liar.
I honestly
Hey,
did. I'm
Secondly,
really not.
Well, this is a movie about friendships after all, so maybe some friendships were
The
patched
weirdest
up
of friendships.
the other day.
Secondly, though, I can't just let Chris say that and not say my piece, because
I'll back it up, man. I got all the facts.
fine. But here's a fact, Chris. And we've brought this, and this is I don't want to get serious on this, but let's get serious on this. You cannot complain about this podcast getting in the way of your free time in your life. When I asked you for about 8 months, probably a full year actually, to fix your fucking webcam, fix your internet, fix your fucking computer, because it takes me about 4 hours extra to edit every episode. I don't like my free time. I ask you to do one fucking thing and you throw it right back in my face, and you literally cry to mom. You literally cry to your mom about it.
Welcome to Jackass, the podcast where we're on a path of destruction through every single episode of Jackass.
Oh, we are three lifelong fans of the show, reliving the belly laughs, bad ideas, and broken bones.
Guys, we got some bitter people over here, you know? I'm the only one that's happy. I was the one that enjoyed it. It sucked the soul out of the rest of these guys,
It
you know?
really
I'm the
did.
good guy. The good jackass guy.
Another thing, and this will be something that our listeners can pick up on, or our viewers, if you're watching over on YouTube, a growing fan base over there. So thanks to everyone who's subscribed and is watching along there. Chris, could you please change the lighting, which is now turned to red on your screen, to again make it easier for me to edit this episode?
How does my lighting have to do with your editing?
Because I have to do color correction, Chris. I take this shit seriously.
Chris, he's right. I never have a problem with my lighting. I don't know what your problem
Jay
is.
doesn't use
Fucking
the
nerd.
webcam.
I don't know. I don't want to get my face red again. again. There we go.
Listen,
So let's go through Haggard then. How about that?
I'm up for it. I do want to say though that right before this, I bought a very nice new 4K TV, beautiful picture, just outstanding, 55 inches. It's the love of my life right now. Guess what? The first fucking thing I watched on the new 4K TV.
No, it couldn't have been Haggard.
This piece of shit right here, Mikey. Yeah, the timing was right. I could see the fucking pixels going black on the fucking screen as I was watching it. It was just bleeding life.
Well, Jay, that's a good thing because if I know you, the thing you would love to see in 4K and crystal clear high definition 4K is a pile of shit, and you got your wish. So there you go.
There's a couple things in this movie that I was surprised to see were caught on camera. Let's talk about it, shall we? Yes, this is Haggard, as Chris said at the start of the episode, and it's very much self-indulgent in the sense that you can tell right from the get-go when it's written by Bam, Brandon, like all the friends, Ryan Dunn, like everybody's name, pretty much everyone in the movie is either like a director or a writer or an art director or something. There's like very little outside involvement. So you can tell it's very what's the word, like art house. It's very artsy. It's
also like nepotism. It's just all family and friends as nepotism. All like the fucking key grip is probably Don Vito. Like everyone who's involved in this is a member of the Westchester, Pennsylvania punk crew, like Bam and his friends. I do
have to say though, you guys notice this was just like saturated, just completely saturated in like a sense of, hey guys, aren't we pretty awesome or what? Like
they thought they were so good. They fucking loved, they were.
Well, what the fuck were you doing at that time of your life? Nothing. They made art. They made a movie. They got their friends together.
I'll give them that.
They didn't have much of a budget, and look what they ended up pulling off. Something that we're coming back fucking 15 years later, or however long later, even more than that, watching and talking about. So
it's not good.
Give them a break.
Okay, we got to talk about it. There's going to be divided opinions here. That's okay. I'm actually really fucking surprised Chris is defending this after the fit you put up. Like, I am so fucking surprised.
I can admit when I'm wrong.
Listen,
I had a good time watching it.
Let's give you a quick 1 minute breakdown of what this is. Ryan Dunn, known as Random Hero, that's how they credit him in this movie, is basically going through a bad breakup with his ex-girlfriend. Her name's Lauren.
Her name's Glorin.
Is it actually Glorin?
I couldn't believe my mind when I looked. I'm like, why do they keep mispronouncing her name? It's actually Glorin.
That's that. There you go. Quality right there. Chef's kiss, this movie. So basically, he's just throwing shit off his front porch. He's an angry, angry Ryan Dunn. And you guys notice what the very first line of this movie is? Anyone care to recite the very first line of this movie?
Is it Deco calling him I'm using the word objectively here. He's calling him a fag, right? Like that's yes.
Right out of the get-go. That is the first line of the movie. Like, if you wanted something straight out of the 2000s, there you go.
Jesus Christ.
I was fucking hook, line, and sinker from the first fucking line of the movie. You guys wonder. That's comedy, man.
It's edgy as fuck. It's 2000s edginess. And the second line is he wears girls' underwear. So you kind of know where we're going with this one.
Yes.
Check number 2, baby.
Check number 2.
Here's the crazy thing about it, though. Here's the crazy thing about it is this whole scene, like with Dunn kind of going nuts, and then it cutting to Deco and him talking. Like, Deco is the guy that they always go to in Jackass to like introduce stunts, and that's because of his personality. He's like vibrant and exuberant, and he talks, and he's got so much personality. And all of a sudden, the camera rolls for a script, and he's like a chair. He's like fucking went to Vin Diesel's school of acting. Like I don't know what happened to him. He's just not a good actor for some reason.
No, I couldn't tell, like, what was that accent he's trying to do? He picks an accent for his character, and I think it's French, but it keeps changing the whole fucking movie. I don't know what Brandon was trying to do.
Was he supposed to be like, it got me thinking, like, wait, is that just his actual voice? Because it didn't make any sense to me that he would just have an accent.
I was thinking he was like a earlier days Russian scientist with a twist of a few other things. You know what I mean? Like, I just couldn't figure it out, but it was fucking
I thought like French Canadian. He sounded French Canadian to me.
There was something to it there. And like the point of the first intro to any movie is to get introduced to the characters. We need to know who these people are.
Sure.
And you get little tells through the filmmaking here and the directing. And basically when you see Bam Margera, you just know he plays the cool guy, okay? Like he wrote that in the script liner. I'm the cool guy, all right? And Ryan Dunn's the sorry loser, and then of course Brandon's the weird one. They're pretty much just playing hyped up versions of who they are in Jackass, essentially. Would you guys agree with that?
I mean, yeah, kind of. I think Dunn probably wouldn't want to play exactly the version of himself. Like, he's pretty much a big fucking loser in this movie, and I think he was probably convinced to do that. Or maybe that's just the way it comes across after all the writing. I'm not sure. But like the fact that after him throwing a tantrum, they show him in his bedroom, and for some reason his bedroom is like a 12-year-old's bedroom. Like, it looks like straight out of, like, he's 15 years old. He's got posters on the wall, living with Don Vito, but I would have assumed his parents. Someone's got to,
makes sense to me. He's underage, so.
Yeah, of course. See, that's a good point. Someone's got to call Ryan Dunn's homewrecker and then actually homewrecker his bedroom, because like his is just like this. His bedroom looks like the before picture of one of the candidates on his show Homewrecker.
How much you miss having a bedroom like that, though? Like posters out of magazines up on the wall. Like, remember when Dad got mad at me and he tore all my rap posters down off the wall? There's like a picture of like Method Man smoking a blunt, and I came home. I was like, at that point in my life, that was the worst thing anyone's ever done to me. I was like, I fucking hate you. You know, God bless our innocence as a kid. You know.
Yeah. My family used to make fun of me because my room was literally just white walls. It was just white. I didn't have posters. I slept in a room with white walls and no curtains. I liked the calmness of just.
We should have seen the warning signs back then, eh?
What the fuck's wrong with you, man?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I just did. It soothed me for some reason.
I got to ask Chris a question, though. Chris, you like 2000s edginess. Do you also like plot holes in your movie? Because there's a ton of those in this movie.
No, I don't think so. You know, this is the classic redemption story. You got a guy who breaks up with his girlfriend. Okay. He's having a tough time. You got his buddies that want to come around and help him through the situation, you know? So he's going through it. They're trying to get the revenge, which adds a funny edginess to it. They introduce other characters. Long story short, you know what I mean? They're working through the magic, and he ends up getting the chick at the end. It's fucking fantastic, you know?
Okay, so that's it. I don't think we need to say anything more about this. Thank you for summarizing.
That was a spot on summary of the movie, but yeah.
I don't even know why I wasted an hour and a half of my life watching it. You could have just told me that. But listen, I want to talk about the characters for a couple more minutes here before we get into what's happening here, because as we alluded to, Brandon's the weird one. He's also a scientist, and as they're leaving Ryan's apartment, Bam and Brandon, they find a poster that says it's Invention of the Future contest. And first place gets a mountain bike made of diamonds, which is the most ridiculous fucking thing ever. And Brandon has this invention he's been working very hard on, the reverse microwave. Now, when he said the reverse microwave, my mind it like blossomed like a flower in the fucking springtime. All of these fucking memories came back. I've seen this movie before, but it was so long ago. I actually thought this reverse microwave bit was part of CKY or something. I was totally not prepared for this. And it's the most ridiculous B plot to anything I've ever seen. But basically, he needs to get Freon to make his reverse microwave and win the mountain bike. And it feels so fucking tacked on.
The Deco side
Freon's
story
hard
is
to come
so
by,
weird.
man. 70% of the world's Freon's in refrigerators.
Look at this guy jumping
says.
to fucking defend this movie.
But it just feels so, like you mentioned, Jay, tacked on. Like, it's not even like normally what happens in a movie is you have these two stories that are happening seemingly parallel, and they don't seem like they have anything to do with one another, and they end up intersecting in a way that aids one another. Usually the B plot aids the A plot, and that's not what happens. Deco just finds himself at the end of the episode in a fridge graveyard because he got chased into it, and then after the main plot of the movie gets all wrapped up, which we'll get to later, there's Deco's plot afterwards, like a fucking post-credit sequence that goes on for half an hour. It was so weird.
It was great though. When he's driving that bike of diamonds, didn't you feel very happy for him? You know, the scientist in the basement. He conquered his dream. Like, this is a redemption story if I've ever seen one.
Well, you know I love science, so yeah, I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a little tug in the heartstrings there.
Right?
Didn't work for me. I was literally, I'll say this for the whole movie. Because you
fucking grew up in a white room, apparently.
Yeah, and this bored me.
Fucking have some imagination.
I grew up in a white room.
I wish I brought you.
I grew up in a white room and this bored me. Why?
So you fucking have some fucking love for the world.
Well, yeah. Too late for that. I will say this whole movie, I was so bored and that I was actually those feelings that you have when you're like, you're in bed and you're trying to get back to sleep and you think you fall back to sleep for like half an hour and you look and it's literally been 2 minutes. Like, does that ever happen to you? You get like stuck in this sleep cycle. I kept looking at my clock and being like, is this over yet? And it had been 3 minutes. Like, this felt like it took
big mistake,
way longer than it should have. So when it loops back around and you got to deal with Deco's B plot of him winning the science fair, I was like, fuck, man. It felt awful.
So basically, Ryan's all sad and alone in his bedroom and shit, pouting. And I just want to point something out here. Not that it's super relevant, but this movie does this thing, and this is the first time we see it here, where we get like fast cut-ins of like girls' thighs and like panties and bras and shit, but it's always like for like half a second, and it's at the most random of times that it almost doesn't even make sense why it's happening. Like, here I get it. He's thinking about his ex-girlfriend. He sees her getting naked in his head and stuff. But there's like a scene later in the movie where Bam's just flirting with some girl he met, and there's like this flash of like her crotch for 2 seconds, and there's like no reason. There's no explanation for why it's there.
Maybe, unless you were being what Deco called Ryan at the beginning of the movie.
What?
What are you talking about?
Oh, I see.
I was
get
trying
the
to
dictionaries out, kids.
He's trying to call you gay, Jay.
I get it.
Who doesn't like some fucking tits and ass in a movie?
That's fine. Yeah, but I like it when it ties into something. Like, this just makes no fucking sense.
So I think it does. Actually, I will come to the defense of the movie here. I think that those are supposed to be like quote unquote art school cut-ins of like what's going on in the person's head. So when Bam is flirting with someone, he's immediately thinking of her crotch. That's why he's flirting.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I
thought that's what Chris was going to say, and instead he just dropped a slur. But I'll come to his aid.
I didn't say any slur. Try and fucking cut a slur out of that.
Okay, all things aside, though, those little cut-ins gave me a little bit of PTSD because I was so worried that at the end of one of those cut-ins, it was going to just be like Ryan Dunn in his bedroom beating it or something. We
got that later.
We get that later, though. Oh, do we get it in spades, baby. Look, so Lauren meets a new guy. We got to talk about this. And I was not expecting the new boyfriend to be, of all guys, the scientist we all know and love as Raikyon.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fucking Hellboy, baby.
That was a surprise. And yeah, and they call him Hellboy in this movie, which is the worst name.
It's pretty good, actually.
Dude. How many girls do you think you're picking up? No. Hellboy? Are you serious?
He's like fucking chugging beers in cars. He's just getting mad puss. Like fucking.
I'm just picturing a fucking red Ron Perlman. That's all I see is just a big red Ron Perlman.
So Hellboy,
with a beard and
yeah,
the whole thing.
Dude, but it shows the hell of this movie. Like, they're really thinking about this, because what would be more terrifying or more of a brutal feeling than all people, Rake, even dubbed Hellboy, steals your girlfriend? They're really really understand how to get into our psyche.
Especially in a bowling alley. Imagine Raikyon steals your girlfriend in a bowling alley. I think I'd lose my mind. That, setting up conflict so far, Bam, good job. That works.
Probably in there doing cool science experiments or something.
Probably, yeah.
Listen, they didn't sleep together, though. They just went to the beach last night and he fingered me a little bit, all right?
Yes.
I bet those fingers smell like sodium bicarbonate.
In the movie, they did like the fingers to smell these. Do people still do that, or is that just a 90s thing?
Has anyone ever done
Good
that?
Question. Personally, no.
You never done
I've seen it happen in the wild before, once or twice.
Did you guys notice, because after this call, Ryan Dunn for some reason sprints to the coffee shop where he somehow knows Bam will be there, to tell Bam that his girlfriend Glorin got fingered by Hellboy. The coffee shop that they run to is the same coffee shop from the hockey fights prank in Jackass. Do you remember that? I think it was season 2 when they dress up in all the
familiar. That's hilarious.
When they dress up in all the hockey gear and get into a fight in public. Yeah.
A Westchester special, I suppose. But what's with the dude? I get it. Ryan's having like fucking anxiety attacks and like strange flashbacks, and he's hallucinating. But there's just a dude in there fingering and eating out his wallet. Like, I mean, it's a different time period. You got to understand there weren't any pandemics yet, so people were doing that all the time. But
yeah.
Just, I haven't seen it in a while, so it kind of took me off guard, I guess.
I think that's also from the twisted mind of Ryan. I think that's more of a, like obviously, in the writing of it, but I keep thinking about things that they had actors do in this that just make no sense. I'm like, that's that one guy's claim to fame. It's like, hey, extra, can you lick your wallet for a second? And he's like, anything for you, Bam, the pride of Westchester, Pennsylvania. And it's great. But that weirdly isn't the craziest thing about this scene.
What's the craziest thing?
The fact that Ryan, in order to like get him back on his bicycle, Bam's like, look, there's a girl, go approach her, see what happens. And he compliments her tattoo to start off, which I think Ryan Dunn in real life probably had more game than that. And she fucking stabs him in the eye. Like, I don't think he was in the right to approach her, and he was kind of a dick when he did it. But that's an overreaction. The stabbing in the eye. I thought that was going to be like the person with the wallet, like an imagination in his head, but they just fucking go with it, and Ryan has to wear a fucking eye patch for the rest of the movie. What happened? Why? What is that about? Chris, you as a defender of the movie, what is the reason for that? Just because he thought he looked cool in an eye patch?
The movie's called Haggard, and it shows the story of a guy going through his love problems and how it destroys him on the inside and the outside. Mm-hmm. So by him trying to redeem himself and going through this process, he's getting haggard in the process. Haggard is, being run down, beat up, etc., etc. That's how I know the word. So he gets stabbed in the eye. So by him trying to go through this journey of redemption, he has to get haggard in the process. And, this is just them setting the stage of him getting stabbed in the eye. He has an eye patch now. By the end of it, he looks disheveled. He's been through hell. And that's exactly what this movie's trying to do.
He's been through Hellboy and back, baby.
But I will debate against that and say that you're going to eye patch your protagonist this early into the movie? It's been like 5 minutes. I mean, we haven't even reached
looks cooler than a drunken pirate.
Yeah, okay. But I mean, I'd say more of a Snake Plissken, but that's fine.
Yeah,
we haven't even reached Act 2, like the hero's breakdown, and he's already lost his eye. I think it should have came after he tried to fuck himself in the ass. Spoiler alert. He tries to fuck himself in the ass. But yeah, from here on out, Ryan Dunn is going to be wearing an eye patch for a large portion of this movie, so get used to that. Now, I got to ask you again, Chris, since you seem to love this film, which I still can't get my fucking head around, but okay, what do you think of the revenge plot here? Because that's where the movie's headed. They want to pay Ryan wants to pay Bam and Brandon $100 each to go and fuck up Lauren's house. Do you think this was a good move? The movie kind of really zones in on this idea, and a large chunk of it is them just doing shit at her house. What did you think of this? Good move?
I thought it was fantastic. You built a whole culture around CKY and these types of things. You need to have some prank type things. And what better way to fit into the movie than a good revenge plot? You're taking dumps on the fucking garage door and duct taping them? That is just fucking brilliant, We
got to talk about those dumps for a minute, though, right?
God. And it was Don Vito's poop, too, which makes it even worse. And they had no gloves. Ugh. But, I mean, imagine you come home and then you see all these duct tape poops to your door. That's just fucking comedy genius, if you ask me.
So is Don Vito canon in this universe? Like, what the fuck is going on?
This is just a general question about the movie. Like, in general, I cannot tell if some of these people are supposed to be actors, if it's supposed to be characters, if they're supposed to be themselves. Like, Bam Margera, at some points in this, is Bam Margera. Like, in the interstitials, he's Bam Margera. But in the movie, he's Balo or whatever his fucking name is, like when he's talking to Ryan Dunn. And then sometimes you have like Ape. She was in the coffee shop at one point. She's just an extra in the background, but then she's a character in other scenes. And then you've got Phil as the guy who like smacks Ryan Dunn with the watermelon at one point, but then he's also a cook in another scene. There's like, everyone is playing like multiple roles. Some of them might be themselves. Some of them aren't. I was losing my mind trying to keep track of where this was all going. It was all over the place.
It's called good acting. When you have top actors, you need to get everything out of them.
I think it's called bad writing. You
never seen fucking Eddie Murphy movies? Blockbusters. He plays like 7 fucking characters. No one fucking complained about that. Mike. Norbit?
The point is that they're not all always characters. The point is that sometimes
I was totally going to bring that up later too. I'm glad
it's just themselves. At one point, there's an interstitial where Bam Margera, presumably as Bam Margera, is skateboarding. And we know this because he just works at a skate shop in this movie. He's not a professional skater. And yet there are interstitials of him as a professional skater. How do you know he's a professional skater? Well, he's skateboarding with Tony Hawk as Tony Hawk. Unless that's not Tony Hawk, because literally in the next scene...
you're confused. That's a police officer.
Literally in the next scene, he's a police officer. Tony Hawk is the police. So I'm like, what was the point of that interstitial? That doesn't belong in the movie. It doesn't belong in the movie.
No, you're totally right. See, now Chris is just saying he loves everything about this fucking movie, and I think he's doing a little bit of this on purpose. My radar's going off here.
Yes.
Something ain't right about this. I'm wondering if he's going to pull a fast one.
I wanted to, I'm telling him it was a great time. I thank you for doing that. He thought it was so funny that I was going to hate this movie. I loved it. Backfired on you, bud.
See, that's what this is.
You had to watch it.
Now this makes a little more sense now. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. I get where we're going with this.
So listen, when we're at Lauren's house, I gotta mention something here. I don't know if you guys noticed this. Brandon goes up to sorry.
You gotta say
respect the movie. Respect
the movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna get so much hate for that one. Listen, Brandon climbs up to Glorin's rooftop, and there's this strange moment where Bam's alone with the poop in the garage door, and it looks like he's having a little bit of an awakening with the poop. I don't know if you guys noticed this. It's like he almost gives one a little squeeze, like a little fondle, just to see what it's like, just to see if he likes it, you know. And all I can say is that's how it starts, Bam. So just watch yourself.
Jay would know.
Go back and seriously watch it. There is a part there where he kind of, he's feeling something, something stirring within him. And Brandon's up on the roof taking a shit on the roof, right? Then the car comes and everybody ditches. Now I want to talk about what happens here. Bam goes to hide in a bush because, Rake Yon's here. He does a front flip into the bush because, I don't know, in case you fucking forgot, we're watching Haggard. So that's why that's in there.
It's so much about this scene. The theme of this, I thought maybe it was just going to be this scene, but it turns out it's the theme of the entire movie is the question why. Why does Deco have this weird comic, supposedly comic thing with the ladder where he doesn't know how to use a ladder? Like, what is the point of that? Why does Bam do a front flip? Why is he in clear sight of Hellboy and let him piss on him afterwards when he walks up to him in the forest and he just sits there and takes it? Like, if you're close enough to take piss to the face, you're close enough to be seen by the person. And I'm not trying to poke holes, but it's just this consistent thing of like, they didn't know what they were doing. And
they're using a massive script writing tactic and for movies in general. Have you ever heard the phrase, you're a movie buff? It's called suspended disbelief.
There's
I'm having
too
a little
much
bit of that right now.
The amount of belief would be like Preston Lacey plus Jackass and He-Man in the wedgie thing. You can't suspend all three of them together. One of them jumps down and the other two lift up.
And it was fucking fantastic. It was a very enjoyable experience. You didn't suspend it, it wasn't. So if you actually know how to watch movies properly, because you're this big movie buff, fucking learn a lesson from your older brother.
Like how to just lie and record it the whole time. This is my punishment. And honestly, like this is now, I kept saying to you guys, watch the movie. It's going to suck, but we're going to have a lot of fun talking about it. And I thought after I watched it, I was like, you know what? The recording's going to be fun. This is now worse for me than watching the fucking movie. So let's keep going.
Checkmate.
I feel like people who do a lot of gaslighting say those types of things.
Yes.
Oh, don't worry. It's going to be great, guys. You're going to love this movie and we're all going to have a lot of fun. Didn't you have fun, Chris? You had fun, right? Watching Haggard. I had a great time. Mikey, you had a great time? Yeah?
I had a great time.
You had a great time,
I had a
Mikey.
great time. Yeah, it was
right.
so much fun.
We all had a great fucking time. We should all get together later and watch it again. Watch party.
I think we should actually, after we do this episode, we should actually rewatch it again and then pick up on what each other has said, and then we could do another episode on it.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
Like a commentary.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll Twitch stream it, do a watch along with people.
I like it. Guys, listen though. Meanwhile, Ryan is at home looking at pics of his ex. Bams comes in all soaking wet, covered in piss. And there's this line in here that I just wanted, at this particular scene, that I wanted to point out. And again, this was one of those lines that like was in my memory and was locked away in the memory banks. And when he said it, I went, holy shit, I remember this. He comes in and he says, what happened? He said, I got pissed on by Hellboy's sick dick.
Yeah.
Sick dick was something that a friend of mine back in like the 7th grade, I think that's when we watched this, he would say that for everything. And it was from this fucking movie. And I just didn't make that connection until I watched
it. That's a good line. His sick dick. Yeah.
Yeah, strange, very strange. So yeah, he pays the boys, and this is where we get the reveal. Ryan got a rhino tattoo on his chest, and I feel like this is something Ryan Dunn would have done in real life to impress a girl. Don't you guys feel that a little bit? Get a rhino tattoo?
Yeah, I think, I mean, all the Jackass crew, it seems like tattoos don't mean all that much to them. I'm actually surprised that he didn't literally get that tattoo, because this is clearly just Sharpie drawn on him. Like it's you know, not that I expected him to do, but like that seems like something that they would do for the bit, you know? Like they've gotten so many other shittier tattoos. Ryan Dunn got a tattoo of a math equation on his ankle for the scavenger hunt episode of Viva La Bam. You'd think he'd get a rhino on his chest and not think twice about it.
Totally. So the boys decide to head to the Roxbury, because the boys are going out clubbing. The music right here was straight out of fucking Roxbury, boys. I got a little hit of nostalgia there, but they meet a friendly bum here who's smelling his dick hand. You know, shove it down there, get a nice get a nice sample of your stench. I guess I don't know why. Do homeless guys do that a lot? I don't know. I don't hang out around as many homeless guys as Chris does, but
when the homeless guy is played by Bam Margera, they do. Yeah,
fair enough. But listen, this is the part where the seeds are sown. He says, you're not jacking off enough there, Ryan. Your girlfriend's gone. You need to let off some of that steam. He says, what am I going to do? I have no material. And this right here is such a 2000s line. I don't have any material.
Yes.
I forgot that it was possible not to have jack off material at a certain point in time.
Yeah,
that's a reality.
What a time to be alive. And then I discovered Google Images, and then it spiraled from there. That was time
I went onto your computer and you had like Kazaa or whatever that downloading thing was. It was like you just kept trying to download. I forget her name, but fucking Elaine from Seinfeld. I was like, that's
Julia
a very oddly specific thing.
Yeah, I was like, why not?
Like,
I've seen her in Seinfeld. I want to see. I don't know. Who knows? Because at this point I was so young, I didn't know the difference. I didn't know that some of the pictures you got were like photoshopped
and shit.
I was like, oh man, every celebrity's got nudes.
Yeah. Did you see how nervous Mikey got when I said he was downloading something? He's like, ooh.
Oh, well,
that wasn't that bad.
That's the least of my worries. Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah. That's fine. Right here though, like I said, the seeds are sown, guys, because this is where it happens. He says, Brandon says to him, you could use your own ass. And Ryan has this look on his face like, my own ass. Yeah. Like he's going to save that for later. And he does.
Unfortunately, yes, he will.
So at this point in the film, if you've ever watched Escape from New York and thought, now there's a guy I'd like to see fuck himself in the ass. Well, you're in for a treat.
You're about to get it.
So
you're about to get
Jay,
it.
I think you, and maybe Mikey too. I think you guys are misconstruing. It wasn't like use his ass, like fuck his ass. It was like,
no, I know that.
Bend it over a mirror and look at it.
Yes,
because you see a hole and you could pretend it's a vagina or a chick's ass.
Really? I thought it was like, try to bend your erect penis backwards against your own will and try to fit it in.
I knew he wasn't doing that.
Material.
Okay.
Like
I thought he was just looking at his ass. I didn't get it was use it to be a woman's ass. I just thought it was him attracted to his own ass.
Oh, it's because you guys never tried it before.
Well, guess what I'm going to do right after this podcast now.
100%.
Thanks, Chris.
No, thank
he was
Haggard,
playing
the greatest movie of all time.
There. I don't know, but yeah, okay, the greatest movie of all time.
Independent movie. Sorry, independent movie. There's some good blockbuster ones.
That's better. Sure. Yeah. I'm not nearly as offended anymore. Thanks for clearing that up. So, guys, you want to talk about the reverse microwave? I think now's the time because this is where we get the first appearance of it. What do you guys think of this concept? Reverse microwave.
Fantastic idea. Fantastic idea.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels like something that's written for a Nickelodeon sketch. And then this would have been on the fucking Amanda show. And then as a 5-minute sketch and they use it for the whole movie. Here's the thing. Bam, I'm not saying this to say that the guys are bad at what they do. Bam is hilarious. Deco's hilarious. Dunn is hilarious. This movie is not. That's what baffles me about it. It's like, I feel like if they actually took the time to try something and to write something, they may have been able to do a decent job with it. But it felt like Deco's like, what if it's a reverse microwave? And they're all like, sure, yeah, let's just go with that. And that's kind of the case with every joke in this movie. They don't try to punch it up. Some of the takes in the acting, it's like, you guys realize that you could have done that again, right? This isn't a live performance.
Yeah, but you realize they probably did this with literally nothing with their camcorders, just trying to make it something that is funny for them and their friends. Then they got famous and they're like, fuck it, let's do it.
They made Jackass for themselves and their friends. And that was fantastic. They made CKY and that was fantastic. I know they're capable of doing it. This just feels lazy and bad to me. It felt very self-indulgent. it's like they weren't trying. That's what this feels to me. It's like they weren't trying, and it was just completely other than what they usually do and what's usually funny to them. Because this would have been after they had already seen some fame from Jackass in 2003. Like, this isn't the first thing that they did. They should have known better, I think.
That's when it was released.
It is, but look at Ryan Dunn. That's like middle range Ryan Dunn. That's post Jackass season 1, 2, and 3 Ryan Dunn.
I don't think so.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
It's definitely not, early Ryan Dunn. I'd agree with that. I'm not sure how late we're into, but they were pretty popular, I'd say, at this point when this movie came out. Because I remember my brother bought this on VHS, and I remember when it came out, like Jackass and CKY and everything was pretty big. Like, I'd even say they probably were on CKY 3 or going on 4 at this point by the time this movie came out.
I guess you guys just aren't artistic enough to appreciate like avant-garde films.
Okay.
That's probably it.
You know, you want to talk about avant-garde films. Ryan is starting to go a little avant-garde himself here. He's going crazy. He walks into the hair salon where Lauren works, and he's the kind of crazy where you like at the start of the movie, you might have felt bad for him because he got broken up with, and now you're starting to see the other side of things. You're like, ooh, now I understand why the breakup might have occurred. He goes in there, and this guy's walking out after getting his hair freshly cut. He's just like, hey, you fucking that guy? Yeah, the guy you just gave a mushroom cut to. Why? Because mushroom cuts are shaped like dicks, right? Is that why, Lauren?
Yeah.
Cut my hair. You look so beautiful. He's having a hard time, this poor guy.
It's hard to sympathize with him. He books her at 2:00 so that he can talk to her. I'm like, that's a fucking creep move. But I'm surprised. Like, if anything, if he deserved to get stabbed in the eye, it was for that. I would say, over complimenting someone's tattoo.
True. And I love when they bring that up too, though. She says, what's with the eye patch? Some girl stabbed me in the eye with a fork. Fuck off, Lauren. Jeez, calm down. Acting like you've never been stabbed in the eye before. Like, it's not a big deal. In and among these scenes, there are some good moments. Like when he's leaving because this is another inconsequential scene. When he leaves it, he's saying, she says, I need to play the field or something. And he says, like, yeah, more like play a field of dicks. Yeah,
like,
field of dicks.
That made no sense, but it also really made me laugh for some reason. That was one of the first moments that I actually laughed out loud when I was watching it.
Yeah, that's one of those lines, too, that was stuck in my memory bank somewhere. And when I heard it, I went, holy shit, there's another one of those. I swear I thought that was in CKY. I actually think in the podcast long time ago when we referenced CKY, I think I said, oh, get ready to hear that line, but there you go, you just got it. Yeah. Now this next one, you mentioned Phil being a bit of a cameo here. I want to talk about the watermelon scene because it goes it goes like hard cut from this hair cutting scene. They're having a fight, they're angry with each other. Ryan leaves the hair salon and then Phil just fucking comes up, hits him in the head with a watermelon. Like, what the fuck just happened to the movie? We got a crazy naked man screaming out the window. Like, I just don't understand when this became a prop comedy movie. Like, am I exaggerating here? Am I being unreasonable?
No, it's like, again, it's just like, it's Bam just being like, you know, it would be funny if someone got hit with a watermelon. Oh, hey, Phil, can you come by the set today and just do it? You know, like it just comes out of nowhere. And it's, look, if that were just a random cut in a CKY movie, like Ryan Dunn's doing a stunt and he gets hit in the head with a watermelon, it would make a bit more sense. But the fact that this is supposed to be a story is just like, it's not tethered to anything. And I'm not, above watching a kind of a trashy movie and having fun with it, like a movie that's really out there, but there has to be some logic to it. And in this, getting hit with a watermelon and then having a naked guy laugh for like what honestly felt like about a minute and a half was just baffling to me.
So then when we cut to Brandon, like talking to his model figurines in his basement and playing with a toy train in a director's chair, screaming at them in like 3 different accents, I gotta ask, did anybody legitimately, did either of you have a laugh here? Was this funny to you?
For sure.
Did you, Chris? Okay, drop it for a second.
No, I'm not even dropping it. I thought it was so fucking good. The trains and everything. It was just like such a fucking weird, fucking bizarre scene. I was just like, what is this doing in here? I'm like, I love that like obscurity of it. I was just like, this is just fucking.
That's so weird.
Because I think about things like, what is going on in the mind of this person that they would want to be doing this? I'm like, you're a fucking absolute nut. And the fact that they were able to convince people, or people were able to be convinced to put this in a movie, it just fucking cracked me the fuck up.
Oh man, don't get Chris a camcorder. I don't want to see the movie that he makes.
Yeah, it's very disjointed though, because this is like the only part of the movie where it gets just bizarre, bonkers, silly, and then it just kind of goes back to the plot, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where we get our first appearance of Raab himself, which I didn't expect him to be in the movie.
Top notch.
But there you go.
Great actor.
What did you guys think of Raab? Because he's got a bit of an accent himself.
That Kiki act is from, it's like Kiki or whatever that thing. He plays that character in the CKY movies.
Right. He lost
and he
his
added
cat.
he was the wild card of the film. You know, you just didn't know what to expect with that fucking guy. You know, you need those depths of characters involved in these movies.
He could have gotten a Johnny Depp of characters, and he was side by side with Leonardo DiCaprio, who played a similar type of role in What's Eating Gilbert Grape. I think he did a slightly better job than Raab himself did, but you know, Raab's going for it. He's not leaving anything on the table. As what did they say in Tropic Thunder, Chris?
Don't go full retard. But he didn't. Gilbert Grape did. He got
Gilbert Grape definitely did. Yeah.
But to me, like, Raab was just like, he was just the slow guy that just wanted to be cool, and he wanted to be liked by Bam, and he wasn't liked by him, and he was going through his own struggles, you know?
Yeah. He was
deep character, definitely deep. Deepest
deep
character in the movie.
Very deep. Yes. A couple lines of dialogue. I don't know, man. This is another thing where I'm like, I guess here's another thing we got to put on the plate and deal with. Like, it's like my mind can only suspend my disbelief so much, and they're just piling weight onto the thing that it's supposed to suspend, that's supposed to be suspended. And I'm like, all right, here we go with another one. Why not? I don't know.
Hey, either you guys.
But I will say I did laugh pretty hard when Raab was driving on the back of the bike and they just go straight into the bushes when they ride the bike straight into the bushes. That was really
my
funny.
favorite. It's just like they're just going and then they just make that right hand turn and just fly into the bushes.
That was great.
I had that in my notes too. I was like, I didn't make a lot of notes on it because I was just really embracing what was going on, and that was one of the ones that was fully in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's that stupid CKY type of comedy, you know, just like flipping the switch. It's like flipping a switch and they're just like, you know, brain power from 10 to 0 in the matter of seconds. And yeah, I love that was in there because I feel like Brandon kind of brings that stupidity to these types of movies like CKY and this type of shit. And I'm glad that they took time to be like, okay, you know what? As much as I think it's disjointed, it is kind of funny to see him doing his thing, even if sometimes it's really fucking cringy and maybe his accent's really off and his acting's not so good. Some of the stuff he does in this movie did kind of get me chuckling from time to time. So I'll give you
Deco?
that.
You mean, Raab?
No, Deco for sure.
Oh, Deco too. Okay, yeah.
You know, I'm a fan of that guy. He's just got like a silliness to him. He's just got this. He's absurd. He's a cartoon character.
I love Deco as well, and I just felt like this was him trying too hard, and that's saying a lot for Deco. You know, that's why I couldn't get into it. It was like he wasn't being his natural self, and I just didn't.
Well, he also doesn't fit in this film because it's a serious-ish film about a guy going through a tough breakup and being creepy and shit. And then you got this cartoon fucking character, this like vaudevillain who's making a reverse microwave in his basement. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, you say the movie is about Ryan Dunn going through a breakup. The movie is really about Bam Margera going to his friends, asking them how to get revenge on Dunn's girlfriend for leaving him. That's
being super
basically
cool.
That's what ends up happening in this movie. Like the next scene is him going to Naked Dave's, who lives in a fucking arcade or something. Like what? Okay, lives in an arcade or a drug den
in real life.
Oh, is that Bam's basement?
At that time, yeah. If we do that MTV Cribs episodes, that's when I was watching that. I noticed that. I was like, oh, that's the fucking same place.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
I thought it was a crack house.
It looked like a crack house. And you know what? Knowing what we know now, it may have been. So, yeah.
Naked Dave playing some Mortal Kombat 2 there.
Yeah.
Give a shout out to Mortal Kombat 2. Did you guys also catch like a scene earlier before this? That sick Motorola Razr flip keyboard phone.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
The technology, going back and watching movies like this when they're trying to show off technology is always that's a blast from the past.
I love the wire for that. Pagers and payphones.
Oh, the wire.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
The wire's not as good as this, but the technology thing is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I like this part too where Brandon has picked up Raab from the train station. You know, they did their little bike ride. Now they're in the car together getting acquainted. He asks him, how's school, Raab? It's good, man. He starts talking, and it basically just ends up in Brandon going, shut up, I need Freon. Like, That's all that's on this guy's mind. Like, he just exists in this film to find Freon and secure the Freon so that he can win this goddamn diamond bike. It's all he cares about.
They based that character from Batman, the Mr. Freeze character, off Deco's character.
Right.
They did. Yeah. They did. Yeah.
That should have been your fun
true
fact
story. Look it up.
of the day.
That's the accent he was going for. Was Arnold's accent? Eh? Yeah. It was Austrian.
So
that's a wonky accent.
The movie just kind of turns into a series of montages and like clips. Like, there's a part where Ryan gets beat the shit out of by some bikers and thrown into a dumpster, and then Bam's skateboarding, and this is where Tony Hawk shows up, and it's just kind of like, I feel like it's losing the point here, and they're trying to figure out, like, okay, we need to, like, we kind of rode ourselves into a bit of a corner here. What do we do? And this is where we get the scene where they get the aggression out by breaking some bottles, and I just thought to myself, why, Bam? Why? Because we need a cool bottle breaking scene. Just shut up, Ryan. Okay, be in my movie, goddammit, and do what I say. Like, it just feels like, you know. Well,
Naked Dave said so, and whatever it was. Naked Dave's suggestion was go break some bottles, and that's what you're gonna do.
But really, this is just a vehicle to get Tony Hawk in here and make his cameo. That's really what this is.
Tony Hawk plays in this movie over the course of about 5 minutes, maybe even less. Tony Hawk plays a skateboarder in the montage, a cop who arrests Ryan Dunn, and a therapist, essentially, for Ryan Dunn after Ryan's been arrested. Like, his character does a lot of heavy lifting and moves a lot of the plot forward, so good on Tony Hawk for doing that. Depth. He's got a lot of depth. The Birdman, who would have thought?
So, Snake Plissken is going to jail now, and this is where they have their heart-to-heart, and I do want to note that in the car, the conversation they have, this is what they bond over. He says, Hellboy is fingering my girlfriend. Well, Ryan, my wife has been sleeping with a guy named Roger. You know what? You're all right, kid. I'll help you out. So Ryan gets a get out of jail free card. So there you go. This is where we get our first appearance of Don Vito. Do you think ever, like, if you got arrested and the cop looked about our age and looked like he may have seen Haggard, if you said to him sitting in the back of his police car, I'm just pissed off because my girlfriend got fingered by Hellboy, do you think there's any chance he lets you off? Maybe. Like, if I'm a cop and I've seen this movie and someone says 100%. That to me, he could have just killed my wife, and I'd be like, dude, good on you. We're grabbing a beer after this. Yeah.
That's fucking hilarious.
So Don Vito is in this movie. They don't just name drop him. He's here, and I guess he thinks he's Julius Caesar because he doesn't change out of this attire for the entire fucking film. He's eating grapes in a toga and shit. Yeah, there he is.
For no reason. He just
young Don Vito.
They're sitting on the porch just reminiscing with Don Vito in the background. And it basically, this one ends where this is the scene that leads up to Dunn jerking off. And the best part about the scene, because, like, you know, ignoring the fact that Vito is just randomly in a toga, is the fact that as Dunn's leaving, and this feels like a real reaction, not a moment of acting from Don Vito. Don grabs him by the arm and says, "No, don't jerk off. Where are you going?" Which is just a great, like, unexpected line from Don Vito. Don't jerk off. Get the hell back here. Yeah, what are you doing? What are you doing?
I'm so lonely.
That was another one that really made me laugh for some stupid reason.
Yeah, he has another line, too, where he finds Ryan passed out on the floor, and he says, "Why is your dick in your hand? I'm calling the police." "No, Don Vito, don't call the police. They'll find you."
Yeah, they're already looking for you. They're already looking for you.
Because he molests children.
He does.
That's the joke I was making, because he's
Oh, you think molesting children's a joke, Jay? That's a joke to you now?
I don't know. You tell me, Mr. White Windows and No Blinds and...
Listen,
gloves when he sleeps.
Gloves when I sleep, so they don't have my fingerprints. I mean,
you know who wore a glove? You know who wore a nice pair of gloves?
OJ.
I do. He stole one of them from me.
And a man.
Where do you think I learned it from?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Fine. Listen, guys, I just got to talk about this next part here as well, because this is just, it's getting to the point where I look down, it's like 45 minutes in. This movie, Mikey, you said it already, it feels like it's been 2 hours. Like, there's just something about this movie. The pacing is way, way off. And I thought, like, for sure, they're wrapping up soon, right? Nope. We're only halfway through Haggard at this point.
It's crazy.
We get Brandon high on acid watching his TV sideways. He's placed his TV sideways. He's basically just watching TV static here. Do you guys get a chuckle out of this? Chris, you think this was funny?
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, the sideways TV thing was pretty fucking good. I was actually looking at my TV thinking, man, should I mount it this way? And I'm watching it like this. Like, it was kind of logical in a certain sense, you know?
It is a very legit acid thought. Yeah,
for sure.
But yeah, the movie kind of just goes on. I think we could probably skip ahead a little bit because, like I said, it gets a little bit disjointed here. You get Don Vito in a bathroom with two naked women arguing with Ryan Dunn, which that's like an Academy Award winning performance right there for Don Vito. He probably had to act the shit out of that one. Because there was adult women in the bathroom with him, naked adult women.
Yeah, he's not as interested in them.
I don't know if I need to mention it again, but no, it's fine. I won't mention it again. We'll move on.
This area. So here's a quick summary so that we can skip ahead of these scenes because nothing important happens in any of them. But all of these things are happening simultaneously at this point in the movie. Raab has come into town, so we have his car for no reason. That's just been set up. Don Vito and Dunn are eating fruits in the bathroom with these two naked women dressed like Greek chancellors for some reason. This is after Ryan Dunn tried to jerk himself off in the bathroom while staring at his ass. Then you got Glorin shaving her legs in the bathroom with a mirror behind her so that you can see her lower back tattoo, because at this point in time in the early 2000s, I guess those weren't trashy yet, or if they were, reminder, this is taking place in Westchester, Pennsylvania, so trashy is sexy to them unironically. And all this is going on and nothing really has anything to do with anything. You just get like a 5 or 10 minute segment of the movie that is just scenes that don't ultimately have anything to do with anything.
Yeah. It ends up in Ryan and Glorin going for dinner together, which seems just like it makes no sense. But again, I think that's just them trying to go, we got to move the plot forward, do something. So they go on a date. And meanwhile, Raab, Bam, and Brandon are getting ready to go back and vandalize her house. They're going to break in there and look for evidence that she's been screwing someone else on Ryan Dunn's request. Holy shit, dude, calm the fuck down. And I don't know. I guess we could talk briefly about the part where Ryan sits down with Glorin for dinner and orders a drink and a fart blast in his face. The waiter rips one off. He looks a little disgusted. And then the movie just carries on like it didn't happen.
Honestly, I will say, more movies should have scenes where randomly someone farts and it just, because that's a real life thing. Like that happens in life. Like you think in The Godfather when Don Corleone has to sit down on the night of his daughter's wedding and give promises to people. There's a lineup that's probably taking 2 hours to make its way through. You think he's not farting a couple times in the middle of those scenes? I guarantee you it's happening.
The worst is when you think you have like a there's no one there. So you're just like, okay, I'll get it out of the way. And then immediately somebody comes in just as the smell has enough time to rain. And there's no one else there. And you're just like, fuck, I'm caught. This sucks.
I went over the weekend, I went into a public washroom. It was one of the ones that has the single bathrooms, like the single unisex bathrooms. There's like 6 of them. You pick one and go in. And I got into one.
The Coke bathrooms.
The Coke bathrooms. Yeah, exactly. I got into one and it stunk. Someone who was just in there took a shit. And I was like, well, this, 1 in 6, of course, I'm going to get the one that smells like shit. Didn't end there. Right as I was walking out, someone opened the door. It was a really beautiful woman and walking into my place. And I'm like, I just look at her and just speed walk the other direction. What am I going to say? This was someone else's doing? That's going to be even more obvious. It didn't work. I'm like, of course, I go into the one that smells like shit.
Yeah.
A beautiful girl comes in.
Next time that happens, Mikey, walk out going like this. That way people see it and realize
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. That.
Yeah.
I actually watched this whole movie with my shirt held over my nose because it was a stinker.
Aha.
You're better than that.
So Ryan Dunn makes a fishing boat analogy or something here, I think, which leads to him asking for forgiveness, which logically she should say no, but really what actually happens is quick now, or the plot can't move forward. Oh, right. Yes, of course. I do forgive you, Ryan Dunn. No problem. A random hero. Sorry. Phil karate chops Ryan when he's on the phone trying to get in touch with Bam. Just, again, no context. Doesn't need to be in there, but
no reason.
In there. Now we're back at Glorin's house and the boys are going through her stuff, right? They're trying to get in there and figure out okay, is there evidence? Can we find something? So they do this B&E. They're going through her underwears. They find Brandon has a line here where he says to the camera, these are your girlfriend's underwears. And that's another one of those lines. It was in the memory banks. Don't know why. They find some dildos in a diary. And this is
the
where...
whole time this is happening, the whole time they're doing this breaking and entering, I'm like, please God, don't let them find a diary as proof. I'm like, that's script writing like 101. Just don't let it be a diary that they find.
Chris would call that cinema magic.
Right, that would be cinema magic, exactly. They find a diary and the dildo, but they're grossed out by the dildo. Like, that doesn't track. Why would they be grossed out by the dildo? That, like, it feels counter to everything else that happens in this. You'd think they'd be like, oh, fuck yeah, it's her dildo. That's cool. But they're like, no. They're like, oh, get that shit away from me. Thought they liked her.
Because she's a dirty whore cheating on fucking Action Hero or whatever his name is.
Random
Action Hero.
Random
Chris,
Action Hero.
Didn't you say you really liked the song in this scene?
Yeah, that was my favorite part.
What is the song here?
It was like "Don't breaking in a house." It was like this like weird fucking like hip hoppy / like I don't even know. It was just the most bizarre song to the point that I actually went and Googled it to try and track it down. And it said it was by someone, but then I realized the person has the exact same accent as Deco develops towards the end of the movie. Oh, and I was like, so that was Deco the whole time. But the soundtrack in this movie is actually fantastic. There's a lot of really good songs.
It is pretty good.
It's not too bad.
It's got Freestyler by Flo Rida.
Yeah, no, not by Flo Rida, by Boomfunk MC.
Oh, is it Boomfunk MC?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember the first time I ever fingered a girl was that song was playing in the background, so I had some serious nostalgia watching this.
Oh, so
this is the funniest part. When I was fingering her, I was like so young, I didn't really know like what to do, so I just put my fingers in and didn't even move them. Like I thought that was the game. I'm just chilling there. She's like, "Are you gonna do anything?" And I'm like, "Oh fuck, that makes so much sense. Like it's got to be like a dick moves, you know?"
Yeah,
fucking.
It's all right. Late to the party.
It happens, man.
Oh man, that's good.
Yeah.
Did you then put your fingers in front of one of your friends?
I smelled them after for sure. I seen that in movies. That's the only part because they don't show you the in and out in movies. They just show like whatever. So the only thing I knew
they just show the guy smelling
the
fingers after. Yeah, common in post.
Very common. Very common.
I just fucked. Anyway, so I guess speaking of fucking, we should probably talk about the sex scene here. Did you guys expect this level of sexual action in this type of movie? Like it was, I'd say for the time, relatively hardcore from what you'd expect from a movie.
Based on Bam and based on the fact that you had nudity before in this movie, I was like, yeah, I would expect it. Like we've already seen her naked. The weird thing is their choice of what they will and will not censor in this movie. Naked Dave wasn't censored, even though we've seen Naked Dave's dick in CKY before. Her breast, but I guess it's because they couldn't go beyond like an R rating. That's probably what it comes down to.
Did you watch it on YouTube?
There is a YouTube version live, but I also have an actual DVD version.
Okay. I'm just wondering because official version could be different.
No, official version is what I saw, and you do see her Lauren's breasts in the beginning when she's like that weird scene where Dunn's thinking about her, and then but in this scene with Rake, it's like censored. Everything is censored.
Well, yeah, I guess they couldn't go that far, right? But yeah, it's pretty I guess like graphic for the time, but it is an independent film, and you're right. Knowing Bam Margera and the crew, it's not really surprising by any means.
Right.
But yeah, basically the sex scene ends as the boys break out from the closet once Rake notices the camera. And we get this little segment where they're trying to get away and Brandon jumps into the trunk of the car. They drive away. They have a little spat out by the ditch later. And eventually they make their way back to Dunn. Now, Dunn's like happy-go-lucky here. He just went on a date with Glorin and she lied to him and told him that everything's going to be fine. I forgive you. Let's get back together. But they show him the tape and, there's just this look that comes over him. Like he looks like he's about to go on a killing spree. Like when he sees what has occurred, he's angry down to his core, and now he decides we need to get revenge on Hellboy and kick his ass. That's basically where the rest of the movie is going. It's like, let's just get revenge on this guy.
And this becomes the most convoluted revenge story that I've ever seen. It's basically here's the thing, they don't explain what they're doing. They just go into it. So again, I'm like, why are we seeing this happen? It starts with Deco dresses up as a rocker to like infiltrate the rockers and pretend like he's one of them to get insight into Narkill, the band Narkill, and Rake's name, or Hellboy's name, so he can call a record store, pretend to be that person, say that Narkill sucks, but that person is going to the record store in a second. So the record store owner loses his fucking mind, and then when Rake comes in, the record store owner beats him up, and somehow Rake knows everything. Which that whole segment is just like, if that beat by beat were spread out longer and actually like that became like an Ocean's 11 thing.
I was going to say Ocean's 11, exactly.
Yeah, no,
That's
I feel like
that
actually could have worked.
It was Ocean's 11.
Well, the thing about Ocean's 11 is that it does a little bit more of like bringing you along just long enough that you kind of know but don't fully know, and then it makes sense when it all comes together. This didn't. I get what they were going for. I will say that this is probably the most imaginative thing that they do in this movie, though. So kudos to them for trying a plot point that actually feels like it took some work to think up.
Yeah. But you did mention earlier, too, that Brandon, he tries to infiltrate the Rockers, which I just saw as, like, now we're encountering this roving band of wild Rake-yons drinking beer.
I liked that, though. That was funny.
Back alley somewhere.
I really liked that.
Yeah, like it was like they were doing like a pre-mating ritual, like among their species, you know? It was like a rare sighting in nature that we just happened to stumble upon.
Yes.
It's the strangest thing. They're all like, they're doing like that throaty growl, like
right.
That would be like if you like stumbled across those goths that are in that meme that's always captioned to different songs that are dancing under a bridge. You're like, is that a fucking thing? Do people actually just group under bridges or behind fucking bushes and just subcultures just fucking drink beer? Yeah, I guess so.
That whole thing was funny to me. That like the idea of there being roving bands of metalheads that don't even speak real words. That was really good. I thought that was a great addition to this.
So just like we're playing Call of Duty 4 back in the year 2007, somebody had a kill streak and calls in a skateboard to stop the angry Rake Yon, who is now pursuing Bam down the streets. We get a bike chase, Rake on bike, Bam on board. We get some pretty good like skating here. Actually, Bam does this like he's going like full fucking speed down a hill, and he goes up a ramp and like ollies over a big rail and shit. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is also where Brandon somehow ends up in a junk heap with the old refrigerators, and he gets his sweet Freon finally. Again,
it all comes full circle. Ocean's 11.
I was just gonna say, I hope you didn't forget about the reverse microwave B plot, because it's still kicking. It's still. I
literally have a note in this that says the movie is over. Why are we watching this inventions thing?
So sum up real quick then the inventions thing.
Yeah, we're at the convention now, right?
Before we because apart from just before the invention scene, Ryan Dunn gets hit by a cab, and in that cab is his new love interest, and they kind of sail off into the distance. And the cab driver is played by Dico, which is like, guys, get another fucking actor. But they go, so the inventions list, you have a his and her fuck machine, a garbage juicer, and a reverse microwave. And this whole segment is an excuse to just show off these weird, because isn't it Dico also being the host of the science fair? Like,
yeah, he's doing a real professor,
nutty professor. So eventually he wins. Dico wins the tournament for some reason. Like I don't know why we had to see this whole thing, but we do when we're here. And this sets up the fact that there's an after party, which it feels like is. Granted, I get it's the point where Glorin comes back and is going to like ask to have Dunn back, and he gets to say no. But it's also just a scene to like set up the fact that Bam Margera is a little bit of a playboy sometimes. Like this is Bam's chance to pick up a random girl at a bar, and he's not going to miss it.
Yeah, there's also a scene in there too where Ryan is hanging out with Heather, his new girl, his new friend.
She was cool. I liked her.
Yeah, I liked her. Yeah, she was super nice. Bam comes up though, and he says he sees her, and he's like, what are you doing? What the fuck? Like, he's almost upset that he's with another girl. I thought, like, this was the fucking point of the whole movie. What are you mad about?
Right.
He's like offended. You did this without me? Like, I don't know what Bam's mad about. But Mikey, you hit the nail on the head.
To be fair, Bam started off this whole thing by saying, just forget Glorin, go hook up with someone else. And Ryan says, no, you need to go do you need to go talk to everyone you know and think of the best way to get revenge on her because eventually I want to get her back or something. And then he goes and finds someone else after Bam's already put in all the hard work. So I'd be a little pissed off as well if I were Bam.
Okay. No, I understand. But you're right. I wanted to point out what you said there. Bam meets a girl when they're at the invention convention. And he's just talking to her on the bleachers, and it's the same girl here at the club that he runs into. And it really feels like when he's sitting at that bar and he's like, oh man, all my friends are doing super cool things. One of my friends is riding a diamond BMX bike and the other one's with a girl. And then the bartender's just basically like, cheer up, Bam. There's plenty of pussy to go around. So he goes out and he meets a girl and like, that's it. And it's like, it just feels like that was tacked on so Bam could be like, I want to look good too. Like 100%. It's exactly that. There's no reason for that to be in there. We were not invested in his character at
Bam
all.
Bam wanted a sex scene, so Bam wrote this in. That was
It's a real Tommy Wiseau's type of situation, and quite frankly, it feels a little dirty.
Yeah. It was that didn't make sense. And also, I gotta be honest, I didn't love the fact that Glorin is painted as like the bad person in this movie. Like,
why? She was fucking a guy named Hellboy. And then she let him on. She even at the dinner thing, she let him on and been like, okay, it's all good. And then went and changed real quick and gets fucking taken away by Hellboy. Like,
yeah, but like Ryan's not a good guy either. He's fucking booking hair appointmts and trashing all her clients.
That's romantic. He was trying to fucking get a chance to talk to her.
Breaking into her place and
it's like slashing her tires so you get a chance to meet her, because you're going to give her a ride to the fucking tire place,
Right, from RRR. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. Yeah, no, it just felt undeserved and a little weird. It's like, no, she even says, she's like, I just want to play the field for a bit, and that's treated as her being a bad person. And I'm like, okay,
it is. She should be loyal.
She should be loyal.
Break up with him.
That is correct.
Break up with him, then.
She did. That's the point of this movie.
Well, he didn't like that, so.
I think this movie's just a fucking whole breadbasket full of fucking weirdos. Nobody's coming out of this one looking good, I don't think. Maybe you could have some sympathy for Raab, because he was just there to have a good time and make some friends, and he didn't succeed at that very well. I think Chris is right when you say he's the real underdog of this film. And in a way, we're all underdogs watching this film. I don't think... coming out of this film, I really felt like there was no way in hell I was going to come out feeling better than when I went in. But in a sense, I'm a little bit surprised because there's almost a relief now that we've watched it and I never have to do this again. I'm glad it's over. And I hope whatever we do next will be better. Do you guys have any closing thoughts for Haggard?
I have a quick one, and it's and this is, I don't know that I've ever seen a movie in my entire life that ends with a simultaneous 3 sex scenes to close us out. There's Ryan Dunn and his girl, Bam and his girl, and Glorin and some girl that she meets outside of the club as well. There's 3 sex scenes going on. When those sex scenes started, there were 7 minutes left in this movie. I checked. There were still 7 minutes left. Yeah. I'm like, what are we watching here? And by the way, the girl who picks up Glorin is credited in the closing sequence as lesbian. That's her character's name. Is lesbian. So that speaks to the quality of the movie that we're getting with this one. Chris, what are your closing thoughts on this?
I had fun watching it. Maybe it wasn't polished as you guys might normally like in a film, but I was legitimately pissed off going into it. It was pleasantly surprised me. It brought back some nostalgia. There was good tunes. I got to see some skateboarding. I got to see some chicks. It was a good movie, man. I used to watch, like, do you know how many low budget, like, gangster films I've watched? Like in like the hoods and stuff, where it's like I used to watch every single one that ever came out. So I'm used to these kind of films that doesn't look like the acting is at its peak level. You can tell it's low budget. I just have fun, man. I can shut off my brain. I don't have to think about real life and having you as a brother. So it's just a nice, like, breather from everything. So I enjoyed it.
Fine. Wow. How dare you? I'll say, I think. You're happier watching this movie because you forget about me.
It's true.
Okay. Well, hey, Jay, while I decompress that and write down notes to talk to my therapist about in a week or so, what were your closing thoughts on this?
I don't even know, guys. Like I was here. I'll say this: before we started, we had our Discord chat going, and I could tell Chris was having a hard time, like he said at the start of this episode. convincing himself to actually make time for this. I probably, like, I was keeping quiet. I was keeping my mouth shut. I think I waited longer than Chris to watch this. I was pretty down to the wire. It was a struggle. I did not want to do this either. I was just keeping my mouth shut about it. Like, here's what I'll say about the movie. I'm never watching this shit again. Like, I don't see any point in watching this again. Like, I feel like unless there's some, like, you know, we have an anniversary episode to go and look back at this, then maybe. No. Maybe if it's that important to everybody, we'll come back and we'll do a commentary on the commentary. Like,
guys, flood the comments. Make Mikey, who's pleased as all the guests, fucking flood his comments. Tell him we got to do this episode again. No, because he's a guest pleaser. That's what he said at the beginning of the episode. Let's fucking put your money where your mouth is, asshole.
We did it, and
I'm never touching this shit again, though, Mikey. Never touching this shit again. I think that this is like immediately when it opens up, and it's like. There's time lapse. Like, how many scenes do we have where there's one person static in the foreground and time lapse in the background? Do that once. And then they have like 7 more time lapse scenes in this movie. It felt like someone had seen a movie about art school movies and tried to imitate that, or saw a movie making fun of art school movies and tried to do that. I didn't love it. I thought, this is no word of a lie. I wrote down at the end of this movie, because I was taking extensive notes. So that means this movie took me about 2.5 hours to watch, because I was pausing it to make notes and all that stuff. I literally wrote down, and I believe this, I believe this is a fact, that this is the worst movie I've ever seen. I don't know another movie that I disliked more than this movie.
On Golden Pond.
I think it is. On Golden Pond, I guarantee you I would watch that again and like it more. I actually, because I guarantee you both of us would watch On Golden Pond and like that more. Maybe not Cat Ballou. That one may have, Cat can Ballou me.
You ever see Atlantic Rim? Atlantic Rim?
I've seen Pacific Rim. Is that one of the ones, like one of those movies that like make something that sounds like it to trick people into renting the wrong movie?
Yeah, Atlantic Rim is exactly that, Mikey. It's the movie my dad uses when we're hungover after a night of drinking as a cue to get the fuck out of my house. Let's put on Atlantic Rim, because trying to sit through the entirety of Atlantic Rim, I'm sure, is an impossible feat. So I'd say next to this movie, it's maybe a step above Atlantic Rim, but yeah, bottom of the pile. And listen,
it's definitely better than La La Land.
Okay.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen that, so I can't speak to that.
Neither have I.
I want to say to the listeners, to the listeners, if you liked this movie, I'm not shitting on you. You have questionable tastes. I'm not shitting on you, though. If you like it, you have your reasons. Maybe it's a nostalgia thing. Maybe you thought it was good. I don't know. Listen, if you like it, though, here's the thing that I'll say is, like, I'll try to be as fair as I can here. This movie was made and written by guys who were primarily stuntmen, right? You're asking stuntmen to write a serious movie, semi-serious movie about a breakup. I mean, it's not really their element. So they tried, they gave it a fair shot. There were some moments in it, sure. But I think that them being out of their element and trying this, there's a reason that they didn't continue making movies like this. And I think they kind of realized that, maybe we should just stick to the Jackass shit.
True.
Which I think they do a lot better.
That's fair. Like, I can't be mad at them for trying it. You know, I'm not upset that this movie exists. I am upset that we had to watch it. But like, you know, like Chris, you said almost kind of jokingly at the beginning, you're like, well, what did you do at their age? Like, you haven't made any movies, and you're right. Like, they did more than I've done in terms of like creating art in the world. I comment on art. I'm a scavenger in the realm of art. So I can't really sit here and be like, these guys suck. But I can sit here and say, I think these guys could have done better if they actually wanted to. I just don't think they did. I also don't know that they needed to. You know, I think they're better suited for the things like Viva La Bam and Jackass and Wild Boys and all that stuff. And that's more their speed.
I just noticed Chris's screen name is Plug 7.0. Are we really that high in the version now that
every time I have to get a new computer, a new aspect to help Mikey with his fucking editing, I add a new .0 to my name.
Oh, Jesus.
So it's 7 times.
Nice. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I guess we should wrap this motherfucker up, guys. Listen, this has been fun. Let's never do this again. At Jackast Pod on Instagram, Twitter, and now on TikTok. Ooh la la. Go check us out and see what we're up to if you want to engage with us. Tell us what you thought of Haggard. If you've seen it, would you watch it based on our assessment? I'd really like to know. Honestly, send us your comments. If we get enough good ones, maybe we'll read that on the next episode.
Yeah, we'll read. If you send us some of your thoughts to either jackastpod@gmail.com or on some of our socials, send us a DM. We may group some of those up and read some of them on the next episode, just as a little bit of a bonus.
For sure. And other than that, guys, I don't know what we're doing next week, but I think the odds are in our favor that it's going to be a bit of an improvement. So let's look forward to that. Before I go, last chance. Chris, you sure you don't want to blow the lid off this thing? Like, you're good? There's no punchline coming? You're not trying to pull the rug out from underneath us here?
No, it's just
this whole thing's been a work, right? I mean,
not great. Like, it wasn't bad.
You sure?
Like, it was. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the movie thoroughly.
Wow.
Like, I can wait another 15 seconds.
Nope.
If you want to get it out now.
I mean, if you're going to keep fucking delaying this shit, I'll just say I didn't like it if it makes you happy.
All right, fine. Let's leave it at that. Thanks for joining us for Haggard. We'll see you next week. Bye. I'm Jason Wellwood.
Bye. I'm Chris Aaronworth.
Bye. I'm Mikey Aaronworth, and this has been Jackast. Thank God.
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
Get into it!